Japan's first ever win over Wales last summer is proof of how much the cherry blossoms have progressed in recent times. And there can be little doubt this development has been aided by the superstars competing in their national league. One player having a big effect at club and international level is Craig Wing, who at the age of 29 decided to return to Union after a highly successful rugby league career in Australia.
At the end of high school, I had to make the decision of whether I was going to play rugby league or rugby union, and there was a whole lot of things that went into the decision, but in the end I ended up choosing rugby league, and I played that for a very long time. It's such a great game to play, and I was fortunate enough to represent New South Wales State of Origin and subsequently play for Australia and go on a couple of tours, which was definitely the highlight of my career, being involved at that ultra elite level.
But a career in Union was always in the back of his mind.
It was probably pre-season 2009 in the NRL. I was playing for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I had a couple of operations in the off-season, and it was probably around that time I really began to see how finite my career was. I started to think about what I wanted to do with my career in the time that I had left, and living and playing overseas was probably one of the things high on my list. And the deal came up in Japan. In all honesty, probably 6 months beforehand, I didn't even know that they played rugby union in Japan. I'd always been thinking about going back to rugby union every time my contract was up for renewal, but it was always, my contracts in Australia were always extended, and this seemed like a perfect opportunity.
Like any cross-code convert, mastering the intricacies of union proved a challenge.
It took probably about 6 months before I could break the habit of, first of all, making a tackle and releasing, because in rugby league you wrestle on the ground. So I used to always get penalised for that initially, and when I would make a tackle and get up and go back, I would automatically go 10 metres and then have to come up and get back on the line. So that was one of the things that took a while to break. But probably after about 6 months, I knew my way around the field and could understand the game plan, and then after that it became a lot easier.
It wasn't long before Japan head coach Eddie Jones invited him to join the national squad.
When I first moved over, I never really thought about it. My initial plans were to just maybe come over here for 2 years and then hang up the boots and head back to Australia, but it wasn't until probably the end of my 3rd season that Eddie approached me and said, would you be interested in playing for the national team? And then, mentioned the kind of teams that we'd play against and what would lay ahead. And as soon as I heard that, I thought I would love to. As a football player, you always want to be at the highest level that you possibly can at any given time. And that was an opportunity to play international rugby, and I feel very lucky and very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity.
Games against New Zealand, Wales and Scotland last year, and 2 tests against Italy to come in June, are helping Japan finally start to fulfil their potential.
I think Japan rugby is developing. In my short time here in the last 4 years, I think the level is a lot better. The quality of players, especially the Japanese players, has gotten a lot better, and I think the experience that the national team players are getting training and playing under Eddie, and the things that they're learning and taking back to their clubs is slowly filtering through Japan rugby, and Japan rugby is all the better for it.